this is Chuck from Monocoque Metalworks. I'm here today with our latest E-Type rescue. This is a 1968 Roadster, and it is available for sale as a restoration project. Now, we picked up this car earlier this summer from another shop. It was there for a complete restoration, and it had been completely disassembled, and then the body shell and bonnet had all been sent out, blasted bare. You can see they put the bonnet and the doors and the deck lid into epoxy primer, and then the body shell is in a phosphate coating. But then once it got to that point, the owner had some changes in their life, and they had to pull the plug on the project, and that's where we picked it up. Now, despite what you can see from this angle, the car is totally complete. All the stuff that you don't see is over there on the frame table, and I'm going to show you that later in the video. This car is fully numbers matching. It has the original engine, gearbox, the body tag is there, the original data plate is there with all the numbers on it, the cross member's got the original chassis number on it. It's fully numbers matching. It was originally delivered in British Racing Green with a Suede Green interior. That's kind of a light green. It's actually darkened up a little bit. I really like that color combination because that's how all the D-types came. British Racing Green on the outside with a light green leather interior on the inside. So let me go ahead and step behind the camera. I'll walk you around the car. I'll show you what you're looking at, what it's going to take to restore it, and what we've got here, and maybe its new home could be with you. Okay, so as I was saying, the restoration was started, the car was completely disassembled, and they were starting in on the metalwork and bodywork. Now, we have put it back together as a roller so that it can be shipped. So this is just kind of, you know, it's solidly put together for moving it, but it's just mocked up right now. You're going to take it back apart when you get it. You can see the body shell itself is in a phosphate coating. The doors and the bonnet and the deck lid are in epoxy primer. The doors on this car are magnificent. There's a dent right here, and I can take that out for you if you want. But down here is where the doors will rust out, and you can see that they are just absolutely perfect down here. A little bit of surface rust there, I guess, before they blast it. But usually this section here is just gone. So this is excellent. The deck lid is excellent, same deal. And I've got it wired shut right now, and we'll show you that in a minute. It's got a little bit of waviness. They all have that. But the fit is also excellent. And I just, you know, I haven't gone through all the final fitting and adjusting of these gaps, but just a quick fit got me this gap, which is just about right. And this is the original deck lid for this car. Of course, we do have the fuel lid as well. No accidents ever in the back. The back is nice and straight. You can see they've got this crazy phosphate coating on here so it doesn't rust. Here's the other door, also absolutely excellent. No rust down here, just beautiful. All right, now the bonnet has been replaced at some point in the past, and the center section and this wing are kind of like a 1970s factory replacement piece, and you can tell that because the flanges are glued, but they are spot welded on the ends. So see, there's a little spot weld divot, there's a little spot weld divot there. There was one dent. This is metal. There's no filler in here whatsoever. This is just metal and primer. Now, there was one dent right here. Looked like somebody whacked it with just a baseball bat or something. I took that out because I knew I could take that out and do a great job on the mouth, and I didn't want somebody else messing it up. The lower valance has just a teeny bit of rust in the hinge plates. I think you could get away with just patching that up and not replacing that full member. But the skin of the lower valance is excellent. And again, that is all original. The mouth on this car is excellent. Now, it is a series 1.5. I didn't put the headlight scoops in here. I have them over there. Didn't put the diaphragms in either because you might want to opt for the covered headlamps, and we can help you out with that. So it's really going to be up to you whether you build it with the standard open headlamps that it came with or the covered headlamps. Let's go ahead and see if I can open the bonnet while I'm still filming here. And again, I've just mounted this up for now. The bonnet was all apart and in epoxy primer when we got it. I went ahead and reassembled it with a brand new bonnet hardware kit. That's a couple $100 worth of hardware. So that's all new hardware that you can use. You can see there, you look down in there, you can see that the nose is not, there's no filler in there. All right, so there's the inside of the bonnet. Now, while we're here, let's take a look at the engine. This is a Series 1.5, so it has that crossover to warm the intake manifold. You don't have to move forward with that in the restoration if you don't want to. You can just scrap that and put the standard manifolds on here. Also has the ribbed cam covers. You can put the smooth cam covers right on there if you want that Series 1 look. It does have the dual fans and the Series 2 cooling system, which works a lot better, so I would leave that. You could leave it all for a matching numbers 1.5, but a lot of people like to kind of build a Series 1 clone with these and move toward some of the Series 1 look. The frame rails on this car, the ones that it came with, were kind of beat up, and I didn't like that. They also look like they might not have been the original frame rails. So I pulled down a very good set from upstairs. They just had a couple little problems on a couple of the mounting pads. Over here, it looked like whoever took them off in the past had maybe used a torch, so they had messed up a couple of these holes. I welded that all up nice, and it's got a great picture frame. The bonnet carrier bracket is excellent. I believe that these frame rails can just be blasted and primed on the inside and out, and you can go ahead and move forward with those. And that's a big deal on a project like this because the frame rails will run you close to $4,000. So these look like they're good to go. Now, I'm gonna have to close the bonnet, so let me just stop here and I'll go around to the other side. Okay, here we are on the other side. You can see we've got the original twin Stromberg intake setup. It's still got the Series 1 style fiberglass plenum and air cleaner in there. Some people will put the triple SUs on here, but the dual Strombergs make great power when they're tuned up as well. The windshield has been replaced. This car has the greenish tint triplex sun dim. We do have the original triplex window glass, but the windshield itself has been replaced, and it is a beautiful piece without a bunch of scratches in it, so that's really nice. Going into the interior, these are the original leather seats. Like I said before, they seem to be a little darker than they usually are. Someone has taken the cubby box out and put the top of the cubby box right down onto the console. Again, the ashtray is missing. It's over there. It's in great shape. Okay, here we see the Series 1.5 style dash. It does have the rocker switches with the clock in the center of the center gauge panel. Now, you'll also see that all of the wiring harness is just hanging down in there. The wiring harness is still connected to all the gauges in the center dash. And then this is the whole engine harness. You can see everything is labeled. It's a little dirty. And depending on how you go with this restoration, whether you go all out or you do a bit more of a home restoration, you can probably salvage that wiring harness and reuse it. And it sure is labeled to let you know how. This car has a full synchro 4-speed because it's a 68, so that's good. It's got the wood steering wheel. This also looks pretty restorable. I don't know. You're probably going to put some new wood on there. The seats, I just went through a whole process on my 66 of restoring the leather seats. I could bring these back. It is a ton of work of rubbing and all that, so you'll probably replace the whole interior, but these are 68 seats. They're just like a Series 1, except they do recline. And then what's also nice is that they don't have that silly looking round headrest. I think a 68 seat is as good as the seats get. Okay, let's talk about the body shell. This car has had the floors and the left-hand inner and outer sill and the cross member replaced at some time in the past, probably the distant past. And the work is not that great, but it's not that bad either. And again, depending on which way you want to go, you might just want to leave that in place. Again, it's not the prettiest, but it's solid, and it all gets covered up with undercoating on the bottom and carpet on the top. So that'll be a decision for you. Of course, here we would tear this all out and do all new floors, all new inner and outer sills. We put it on the jig and the whole bit. You can see here where they've welded and stitched along the new inner sill to the new outer sill. Now, I would pull off both outer sills. The way they've done that is not the best. And see, they've got some repairs up here. And I would pull the outer sill off on both sides. The other one is original, so they haven't really gotten in there and messed around with this seam. See, this is the original seam here. You got a little rust there. This is the original sill on that side, and it's rusty. So I would go ahead and pull the outer sills off and then make a decision about how much farther you're gonna go. In the back, the rear wings are in great shape. This upper tonneau panel is great. The lower tonneau down here has two little holes in it. I'm sure that's from a dealer tag. I don't know why you would do that to one of these cars, but dealers did it all the time. Here is the bottom of the deck lid. This is where they rust. It is excellent. You can see there aren't any big kinks in the inner structure or anything. These are the original boot lid hinges, and you can see how dark that British racing green is. I know it looks black here, but in the right light, there is a hint of green to it. Now, up in here, you can see this is all that phosphate coating. Someone has put the speaker holes in there. I would say something bad about that, except I did the same thing when I was 16. So, but in here, this is where you get bad rust on these cars, and this all looks real good up in there. Up in here. The boot floor on this has some rust issues underneath these ribs. That's very common. But this is a car where you could go along and make some small repairs in these corners if you wanted to. And, you know, maybe make a small repair in there, put some little patch pieces in there. It's up to you. Again, we would be pulling the whole boot floor out here and replacing this whole panel and doing a lot more. But depending on your budget and your time frame and your skill level and what you've got to work with at home, this car could be patched up here and there as well. The shell is still very straight, even though they've replaced the floors. You can see the original door fits in here great. This is how they fit usually, with a bigger gap in the front so it won't interfere when it opens, and then a smaller gap back here. So you can see that the door fits great. So the structure of the shell is still intact. All right, over here on the frame table and under the frame table are all the pieces that I did not bother to go ahead and put back on the car. And it appears to me that everything is here except for the radio console. These cars never have a radio console. So I don't know where that went, but there's no radio console. Other than that, it's all here. I mean, here's the original distributor, and somebody's messed around with putting some new wires on there. Here's a rear body harness. Over here are some additional interior pieces. Just kind of gives you an idea on the color. It's actually very odd that these are black. Usually these are the interior color. There's the 68 wiper motor. It's got triple wipers like a Series 1. There's the whole rack for that. It's got the same alternator and bracket as a Series 1. There are the brake bottle reservoirs. Here's the, again, breather pipe for that Series 1 air cleaner system. Fuel filter and inlet line. I did not bother to put the front and rear sway bars back in, but there they are with all the brackets and everything. Here are the chrome window frames for the doors and the window regulators. Look, they've still got the CAD plating on them, and that's how a lot of these parts are. I'll show you that in a minute. Here are all the original bumper blades. They can stand a re-chroming, but they all look straight and good. These are the door top chromes here. You got the window pillar pieces. This is the chrome trim for the Series 1.5 open headlights. You may or may not decide to go ahead and use that. Here's what's left of the new bonnet hardware that I didn't use to put the bonnet together. I don't know why these are in there. They look like they're new. So these are either the originals from this that are restored or a new pair that somebody's bought. Here are those Series 1.5 open headlamp scoops. Got some old turn signal lenses there. There's the overflow tank. All right. Here is the fuel tank. It looks pretty good. This car was apparently driven to where it was parked in a barn or a shed or something. You know, everything's got to be a barn, but it was in some kind of large building for about 30 years when the owner who abandoned the restoration recently picked it up. There's your bonnet screen. I call that the bug screen, but it'd have to be a pretty big bug to be stopped by that. Now in here is when you start to get into all of your little categorized bags. There's probably a couple $1,000s worth of stuff in this box, if not more. Here are, you know, here's a bag of bolts, and you can look at the condition of the bolts. And that's how a lot of the stuff on this car is. You know, it's all in there. There's the exhaust brackets. I mean, this is kind of like a grab bag of awesome stuff. Look, here's original wiring harness loom stuff that goes on there. You know, who knows what that goes to. What other interesting stuff we can find. Oh, there's all the blanking plates. Look at the condition of the blanking plates. Look at that CAD plating that's on there. So the car was in really good condition. It has 57,000 original miles. Here's some more stuff. There's some fuel pump lines. There's some rubber pieces in there. Let me see what other cool stuff is over here. Now we're getting into some fun filming. Here's more interior stuff. More interior stuff. There's a new battery tray. Here's the original seat belts. And then I actually remember over in this box is the window glass and a few other things. Oh yeah, there's the heater intake there, and there's the window glass. There's a dipstick. So lots of stuff, and all the parts are here. So that's the basic overview of what we've got here. I'm sure there's a few things that I wanted to say that I forgot, but you can call anytime and ask any additional questions you like. Again, to recap, this is a 68 Roadster. It was actually built in late 67. I think the build date was November 9th. It is all numbers matching. The original engine, gearbox, body, data plate, picture frame are all there. This car was originally British Racing Green with a Suede Green interior. I spent my entire youth in a British Racing Green Roadster just like this, had a ball. I drove it to the prom, high school graduation, college graduation. My wife and I even went on our first date in it. So I actually had a lot of fun putting this together. I'd love to be able to do this car myself, but I've already got too many personal E-types and the company owns too many, and this one needs a good home. But this is a great start to a project. You're really far along on the metal work with this. I know it's kind of all apart and it's a little daunting that way, but it's a lot of work to take them apart, and somebody's already done that. They've actually already blasted everything bare and put these pieces in epoxy primer. So with this project, you can really get your hands on it and hit the ground running. The bonnet has some dents and dings, and there's a little bit of work to be done, but there's not any major cancerous rust. This bonnet is probably worth $12,000 as it sits, and the mouth is original and a great shape, and that is very hard to get and very hard to come back to if you're not already there. The doors are a major hurdle for people. This door is done. That one over there has one dent that I'm happy to take out for you, and then it's done. People spend months trying to get the doors back together, so that's great. The deck lid is excellent. The shape of the whole rear body is great. The floors, again, they're solid. They're not pretty, but everything seems to be straight. You might want to just move forward with them as they are. If not, you're going to pull that out and do the floors and the sills just like we show you here in our other videos. We're always there to help you every step of the way. If you buy the car, you get a 20% discount on any Monocoque Metalworks panels that you need for it. We're happy to make you up a list. Someone did cut part of the tunnel out, probably to do a clutch in the past, and so I would replace some of those pieces. There's a piece up there where the convertible top frame mounts that was rusted out, and I'll go through and make that list for you. And then, you know, once you start working on the car, you can call us anytime for help. We're happy to help get you through this. We've sold a lot of E-Type project cars. We've got a great reputation. We stick with our customers and help them through. And I can send you dozens of people that'll say, oh yeah, he answers the phone on Saturdays. And if I'm available, I'm happy to help. So hopefully that gives you a good overview. And maybe this old girl will find a new home in your garage. Thanks for watching.